Welcome to the inaugural episode of Voices of Impact with Dr. E, with collaboration with WEL Conferences, as well as the WEL Journal, the podcast that celebrates the leaders, innovators, and changemakers shaping our world for the better. I'm the host, Dr. Ewa Kleczek, healthcare executive, best-selling author, public speaker, philanthropist, and advocate for empowerment and equity. Each week, we will sit down with inspiring guests to explore their journeys, lessons, and the moment that define true impact. Together, we will uncover what it means to lead with purpose, create change, and elevate the voices that move us forward. This is Voices of Impact with Dr. E. Welcome, Melissa, to our podcast. It's such a pleasure to having you here. For those of you who are joining us from around the world, my name is Dr. Ewa Kleczek, like I introduced myself, and I have a guest, Melissa Drew, today to talk to us about an important topic. She's a leader, she's an influencer, she's a change maker, and I look forward to the presentation. Along with me, I have my partner in crime, Kirti. Kirti is the owner of WEL Conferences and the Journal, and we've been collaborating since May to bring to you a platform for sharing stories, for presenting women and their inspiring journeys, and giving the platform for those who might not have a voice otherwise. So without further ado, Melissa, it's such a pleasure having you here, and maybe we start with a short introduction from you.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm currently getting my doctoral research in AI trust. I'm a former chief data officer and a partner with IBM. And recently, last year, I founded a nonprofit called AI Literate Citizen with the focus and advocacy on making sure that everybody globally really understands and is educated in data and AI literacy in order to navigate their future.
Well, wonderful. I am so passionate about AI and get to speak about the changes on workforce and the responsibility and the responsible and sustainable and accountable AI. So I look forward maybe having another session with you in the future talking about the important topic of AI. But without further ado, this is a presentation you're going to talk to us as a part of the WEL Conferences, a remote session that we wanted to bring to everyone to share your story. So Melissa, why don't we start with your presentation if you want to share your screen and present to our viewers. Thank you.
Greetings. As mentioned, my name is Melissa Drew, and today we're going to explore how leadership changes when AI algorithms sit right next to us at the decision table. So I'm going to cover three things today. Why AI leadership is different, a revised leadership playbook you can start using tomorrow, and a few closing takeaways that you can bring back to your teams. But this isn't a tools talk. It's a leadership talk for the algorithmic age. And the long arc of being in AI trust and working as a chief data officer, all of that has taught me something very simple, that the hardest part of AI isn't the math, it's the leadership. So let's ground this with a real world scenario. A team pilots a new application with AI-powered recommendations to assess the risk of an AI supplier escalation. Now, the AI model flags this as a high risk with an 82% confidence. But the human analyst who slices the data, they slice it differently and argue that the risk is much lower. Legal says they want to move forward because they trust the algorithm. Finance is unsure and they want to pause until this can be reevaluated. And the procurement team trusts the human analyst. And each time the data is refreshed, the model confidence fluctuates. So the impact here is everyone is right. Everyone is right from where they sit when they're looking at this from their perspective, because they're looking at this from a different lens: incentives, data literacy, risk tolerance. Meanwhile, the model keeps learning and the score of confidence keeps shifting in real time. So the hard work here isn't finding one confidence number. It's aligning the people, the processes, and the accountability where the confidence keeps moving. And what this means is, how do we lead in the algorithmic age? when volumes of data are shifting, when the wide variety of human perspectives look at everything from a different lens, and the varying levels of each of those individuals in their knowledge of data and AI literacy, all of this combines together, needs someone to orchestrate and facilitate clarity, trust, and apply the guardrails. So why is leadership different in the age of AI? Because algorithms can shift the center of gravity. We're moving from what do you think to what does the system say and why? It's not about the abdication of judgment. It's combining the human context with the models of patterns that are being discovered. So leading the shift requires two things: interpreting the outputs so the team can have explainable transparency, and decision rights. This clarifies when AI advises and when it approves and when it can act autonomously. So let's look at disruption of scale. Globally, employers expect significant shares of skills to be disrupted in the next 3 to 5 years. And the most fastest that's rising is the creative thinking, the analytical thinking, and the technology literacy. This means that you don't train once and forget it. Leaders must plan to continuously reskill small role-based learning loops and embed them in their everyday work. Risk, bias, and equity at the leadership issues. These are all not IT problems. Data gaps create bias in models that can affect your hiring, your lending, safety, and access to services. And the gender digital divide shows up in both outcomes and who gets to build the systems. Governance begins with the data set provenance. Where's the data? Where can I find it? Is it accessible? Who's being represented? And what's not being represented in the data? So it's not just about what can AI do, it's also understanding the AI limitations and asking the questions, what can AI not do? Human in the loop should be the default. The most reliable and productivity gains today comes when AI is augmented with people. Drafting, summarizing, coding, all of this while humans provide context and accountability. Operationally, humans remain a constant in understanding the when and why to accept or challenge when they have an AI recommendation. Capability, building beats the tools that we're chasing. Many organizations overinvest in tools, but underinvest in data quality and skills. You can't scale safely without standards. You can't scale safely without data stewardship, or bias testing, or model monitoring, or clear escalation paths. Governance that you can explain will always win in adoption. And it's these non-technical stakeholders that can't see that lineage, that don't understand the audit trail or the rationale. Trust then breaks. And this goal in decisions is where we need traceability, contestability, and improvability across all the organizational jurisdictions and cultures. So let's look at the revised leadership playbook. Remember, AI proposes and humans decide. So let's look at a 5-part playbook that you can start implementing tomorrow. Number 1, set the guardrails before the growth. Define the decision modes per each use case. For example, advisory, where AI suggests, approvals, where AI proposes and the human signs off on it, and autonomous, where AI can act but within strict boundaries. Require human sign-off for safety. We want to make sure that there's a human in the loop, specifically, more importantly, for anything that's critical or if there's people impacting outcomes. And we want to set those risk thresholds and tolerances now at the beginning of our AI use cases so that we don't discover them mid-incident and then have to quickly react with a fire drill. And tie each model to a named accountability owner with very clear KPIs. And the KPIs have to be organized specific to AI, not just some standard AI that you borrowed from another company. So in our supplier risk example and earlier, we codify where AI can recommend, monitor, and mitigate automatically, but will terminate requires human approval with the documented rationale. So let's look at number 2, making data quality and provenance a KPI, a key indicator. Fund the data stewardship. We didn't have these before, but we absolutely need them now, and it's more critical because without data, there is no AI. So providing the funding and focus on a data stewardship role and bias testing. We also want to track our data sources. Again, where did the data come from? What sources did it come from? And what data is being missed? Where are we extrapolating data and making assumptions before we start testing and pushing that out to the public? We want to know the limitations and we want to retrain that with the proper cadence. Measure positive and negative outcomes, the quality, the cycle time, the error rates, the false positives and negatives, and the customer impacts. Because remember, it's not just about what AI is doing, it's also its limitations and what it's not doing. From a leadership perspective, review these data KPIs in the same staff meeting where you're reviewing your financial KPIs. They're tied together. And when leaders have this data thermometer, it keeps their teams healthy. Number 3, design for contestability. Build, explain this, and challenge this into your products and workflows. Make it easy for the subject matter experts to override the model. And crucially, what happens when you feed that learning back in the system? Establish that escalation path again early on. When the model's not working correctly, who's getting called, how quickly, and how are these exceptions being adjudicated? Remember, in our scenario, the analyst had counter evidence that triggered a challenge workflow, and legal and finance and procurement reviewed the explanation, could record the decision, and then the model could learn from it. Number 4, please invest in a role-based AI literacy. Go beyond the generic training. Create micro curriculum for managers, analysts, frontline staff, but also for other people in the organization, because everybody in the organization touches data, whether they create the data, read the data, or use the data to make a decision. Measure the usage and the outcome. Quality, cycle time, and error rates. It's not just completing the course, it's how much did they retain, absorb the material, and then be able to communicate it back. Treat literacy, data and AI literacy, as a muscle, just like you would go to the gym to keep in shape. Short, repeated, in-flow learning beats with occasional workshops. Now, if we had taken that example before, where we pair every new AI feature with a 15-minute, how do you interpret and challenge this lesson, then every person is engaged in thinking about data and AI literacy. Remember, AI literacy is not just one thing and we're done. It takes training in order for that brain muscle to immediately think about this automatically instead of looking at a cheat sheet and checking off a list. So hardwire, number 5, hardwire equity and safety. Require impact assessments by region and demographics. Run fairness tests and red team exercises before scaling. Look at that AI model and what the data is coming out from. Was the AI recommendation solving the problem that you originally intended? Those red team exercises can look at that information and push back and ask questions so that you can make those refinements and adjustments before you scale and pull that out publicly, whether it's internal or externally. Link leadership compensation to responsible AI metrics. If leadership is not saying anything, they're actually saying a lot. And having that responsible AI metric in those leadership performance ensures that your leaderships are at the front seat, making an example, and then educating others below them. Think about incident rates, audit completion, mitigation of SLAs, and user-reported trust. Remember, if we don't reward speed alone, we want to reward trustworthy speed, not how quickly the data gets out there, but how quickly the users were able to trust the information that came out. Leading the system is not just leading the team. It's a change in our mindset. Leading the system and processes is affecting the decisions of how humans plus data plus the model interact. And your job as a leader isn't to design the workflow so that these three strengthen each other instead of competing. Skills are your strategy. Trust is built on evidence. Target upskilling, especially when roles are most exposed to automation. Those individuals who are in the weeds, working on those models, who interact with those processes, build that organizational resilience and create those new mobility paths. But you also have to make your AI decisions traceable, contestable, and improvable. And publish that. Make it transparent. And that's how you're going to win adoption across all your functions and geographies. Because today, trust is the new currency. So let's bring it home and pull it all together. AI leadership is different. It's not faster. It moves the center of gravity to systems that must be explained, governed, and improved. Guardrails are going to beat the hindsight. Instead of looking backward after the failure, create the guardrails so that you're staying within that decision mode, you're staying within those risk thresholds, and your ownership before you go to scale. Capability is your moat. It's the one that surrounds you. It keeps you engaged inside where you need to be. Invest in the data quality, the roles-based literacy, and the equitable design so that you get trustworthy speed, not speed that breaks. Remember, if nothing else, AI proposes, but humans make the decision. And you build that operating model around that. And that's what's leading you from the back seat to the front seat in leadership, even as the road and the rules keep changing. So what's the call to action here? Two simple things. Pick one active AI use case and label it in decision mode: advisory, approval, autonomous. Add in the owner and consider the risk threshold. Two, add one visible, explain this, and challenge this. Create a touch point where your practitioners can learn and contest from that recommendation. Questions?
For Melissa, this was absolutely wonderful presentation, and I'm with Kirti. His note just popped out that we should publish this. Yeah. If you are willing to submit an article, please do, because this is so important. And last week I was speaking about AI at the University of Maine. I was in a presentation for robotics in surgeries and how AI is used there. And I think what you presented, it's not only important, it's extremely important, because the AI literacy it's a key. The environment is changing so fast, but most people don't understand that there are many biases in these models. I like your idea about the model. It's 82% accurate, but is it really presenting what needs to happen? And do we know where the data came from? What are the biases in the data? Do we know who wrote it, right? Coders can bring in a lot of bias into what they are doing. So I think understanding the bigger picture and having the human in the loop, validate it, confirm it, check it, and continuously revise it, that game of revision and confirmation is a key to sustainable and reliable and responsible AI, as we are seeing. And we coming from healthcare, listening to your presentation, I was nodding the entire time because it is such an important message. And from everything that I've been doing, unfortunately, most of our public doesn't know enough. And I think we need to spread the word. So I'm with Kirti. If you can publish this, we can do a dual release of this, the podcast and the publication, and really spread your message because it's so important. My question to you is, after this little prolonging of my side, what inspired you to dive into this, open up a nonprofit organization to start doing this? Is it more of your personal thought that you need to make an impact and educate others, or is it something else behind that is driving your decision to start up a nonprofit?
So about 4 years ago, I did a TEDx talk. It's a local regional talk in front of 100 people, and then plus others can dial in virtually. And I wanted to have a conversation around AI literacy. And in that discussion, I did some research in healthcare. It's interesting that you mentioned that. I did research in healthcare and discovered that in a journal, a medical science journal, an AI algorithm had been built around the transplant list for livers. And what had happened is once it went public, they discovered that only white men over 50 were getting livers. And someone finally pushed back legally, and they pushed all the way back to look at the AI algorithm. And what had happened is all the data, the historical and retrospective data that had been used to test that model were all white men over 50. So that was one of the most largest public, because healthcare, it affects everybody. So immediately, this was taken off the market. But when it came back, everyone lost the trust because they didn't trust, they didn't see how the new data was being, there was no transparency, no explainability, there was no data fact sheet. So even though the company said they resolved it, nobody had trust, the doctors, the individuals, the patients, that it was actually going to work. So after that TEDx, one of the things that you can do afterwards is you go to another room and you are available for individuals that ask questions. There was 100 people in that audience, and 33 came up and asked me, I didn't know that AI was making my decision on a mortgage. I didn't know that there was an AI algorithm telling me that I can finance this car or not, or get the credit card. I didn't realize that it was more than just going to the online retail and getting recommendations for online shopping. So it was really at that point that 30% of the people in the room had questions about how AI was affecting them on a day-to-day basis. And so that sparked this, well, everybody needs to know about this. Like, this isn't just the people that I work with who understand it. It's everybody needs to understand this. So yes, I have a big vision. I'm rolling this out next year officially, but my vision is I want to be able to track and do an index on AI literacy with every country in the world. That's my legacy, hopefully.
Wow, I am at all here. First of all, thank you for sharing this story. And I'm going to tell you, I was 2 weeks ago at a conference, WEL Conference, and I was talking about AI, introducing them. Exactly what you just said. People do not know. Everyone was surprised that Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it's all driven by AI. And so I'm with you. There is so much literacy that needs to happen with the general public, because I think most of them are only hearing that they're going to lose a job, but they don't understand how ingrained AI is already in our lives, and it's influencing our decisions every single day, and it's influencing who reaches out to us, what decisions someone else is making on our behalf, quite frankly, and how it impacts us every minute of the day. So Melissa, this is a wonderful presentation. I hope you and I get to collaborate and talk about that exact thing and think about it not only from healthcare, where I sit and I usually talk about it, but also in general, what it means for self-driving cars, what it means, like you said, for finance, what it means for education, even where are we headed right now, and the types of skill sets we have to develop in order to ensure that AI is responsible and is sustainable over time, and that we have workforce that is skilled in understanding the in and outs and the underpinnings of those models, as well as the data collection, which we often don't think about how much that drives the bias, right? So I can talk about AI for many
like
hours.
The rest of the day, yeah.
But we will stop there. Just before we end this, I want to see from anyone who joined, are there any questions that you might want to ask before I wrap it up, this excellent presentation and discussion? Okay, well, Melissa, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how do they connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, you're on LinkedIn. Perfect.
Yep.
So we will post this as we're gonna launch this podcast. We will give you a LinkedIn information so people can connect with you. But again, it was such a pleasure having you here, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. Such a relevant topic, such an important topic, and I truly admire your mission to index literacy across the world in every single country. So I look forward to updates and having more discussions with you in the future. Thank you so much for joining us.
Do you want a copy of these slides?
Oh, that would be wonderful if you could.
Okay.
Please
Yeah.
send it to us.
I can just email just email you guys back, and I'll give you a copy of the slides, not a problem. And then if you need anything else, just reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I appreciate, this was fun. Thank you.